You mentioned Jessie Bates. That's a name we've heard thrown around. And then you said something like about Jordan Poyer. Do you think Jessie Bates fits what we're going to want to do defensively? Or is there somebody you in mind? I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of springing this on you that you think fits better.
I'm not a big fan of Jessie Bates. From what I've seen of him in Cincinnati, I think he relies a lot. If you look at his stats and his interception numbers, they're pretty impressive. But if you look at how he gets it, he relies a lot on eye tracking, right? And that's a good and bad thing. A lot of guys rely on eye tracking, but I think he's a little overly reliant. If you look at the games where people have had success, right? And you don't have to look far to see teams that have had success against the Bengals. It's the Cleveland Browns. Where have those teams been able to have success is if you just look this way, no matter like how long, Jessie Bates will go that way, right? Like that was, I saw it with Jacoby Brissett. I saw it with Baker Mayfield. These are not like, it's not like Aaron Rodgers, like, oh, I'm looking them off for Pat Mahomes, no look level stuff. He's very easy to manipulate with your eyes. And I worry about him in this kind of a defense because he's going to have even more space to operate in a Jim Schwartz defense. And the more space I think you give Jessie Bates, the more people will realize that he's not what the numbers might suggest, right? Where the numbers suggest that he is this Earl Thomas, like, take it away guy, where in my opinion, I think he's Earl Thomas, not like, but liked. Where he does do Earl Thomas stuff, but he's not Earl Thomas. Or it's like, yeah, you try to do Troy stuff, but you're not Troy. The Troy stuff works because Troy has some of the greatest instincts in the world. If you're not that level of player, I worry about that when I see you kind of rely on those things. And that's what I see a heavy reliance in with Jessie Bates, is a lot of reliance on what the quarterback's eyes are doing instead of just being where he's supposed to in the play. And again, I think this year, for what you need at free safety, you don't need that playmaker. You just need somebody who's going to be where they're supposed to be and kind of just be the cap on the top of the bottle, right? Like, I don't need you to make the plays. I just need you to stop the leaking when it happens.
Yeah, I've seen enough blown coverages to last me a lifetime after last year. So that's the last thing we need to see.
Jessie Bates is not the guy. I would say also Jessie Bates is not the guy who you're going to get less blown coverages with. If you look at Cincinnati's defense before they decided, and remember, Cincinnati is moving on from him for a reason. And you look at Cincinnati's defense, I think the first year of Lou Anarumo, they actually gave up the highest amount of plus 20-yard passes in the NFL. And it was mainly because of Jessie Bates. Because, again, he'll make a play, he will give up some plays. And that's why I think they went with somebody like Dax Hill in the draft, because they don't feel like paying Jessie Bates the money because they think that he creates as many problems as he solves. That's my worry with Jessie Bates. I would much rather get somebody boring for free safety. Like Jordan Poyer sounds great to me. You know what I mean? Like somebody who is going to be a boring acquisition. We're not going to talk about him a lot, but the less I talk about a free safety in this defense, the better, because unless they're Ed Reed, it usually you just don't want to be talking about them, right? How many free safeties have we talked about in the last 3 years? Almost every single one of them, not for great reasons, right?
That's true.
Andrew Sadejo, John Johnson. It's never a good conversation, really, when you're talking about a free safety, unless they're one of the greats of all time. And Jessie Bates ain't that. And he plays a style to where you're going to talk about him a lot. And I think we're just going to get more of the same there with Jessie. So I wouldn't be a favor of it. I wouldn't be surprised if they signed him, though. He does fit everything that they look for.